University.
Come to my hackathon, come, bo. I just for you hackathon, special deal, 20% off.
Startup Shook. Exploring Israel's tech bazaar with Deo Arlo.
Okay, so welcome to Startup Shook. I'm here with Ben Alfi. I will call you Alfi.
Okay, let's go.
Alfi is the CEO and co-founder of Bluewhite.
Yeah, I'm in Israel. Just came back from the office right now. And very happy to be back here at Reichman, strolling around the old places where I've been around for like 4 years, so it's a great place.
You get nostalgia of like seeing the similar buildings, or?
Yeah, I was free with no limitations, so yes, I cherish the moment when you are a student and you can just, time is not as expensive when you have obligations.
You started Reichman, you finished at 2009?
Yes, I came old. I started Reichman when I was 31 years old with a girl and a boy already.
Wow.
So I was very lucky to postpone my studies for so long because of other military duties that I had before that. So and then I came and studied, and it was amazing.
In hindsight, do you think it's an advantage to come later in life?
I think it's critical. Here in Israel, we're not, especially when people are doing bachelor's degree and they're MBA or whatever. I've done my second degree was here in LLM as a law master's, international business law. And in the US, usually they want you to have like a 3 or 4 years of actual work that you do before you go to the MBA. I think it's very important when you become more mature some places. Basic stuff or just bachelor's degree, I think it's to do it as soon as possible and finish with it. But when you want to extend your studies, it's different. It's less theory, and you can adjust quite well, and you can also influence.
You know what's funny? When I first came here to Israel, I was very young. I was 19, like most international students. And I studied at the Technion, and I put down my pencil, my pen, my book. I was ready to study like a preppy kid. And besides me, it's like a huge guy, like an army commander putting a gun on the table. I was like, holy shit, what's going on here? Like, this is a school, or what is going on?
Welcome to Israel.
Welcome to Israel. This is the huge difference that a lot of people have to like learn. And in this podcast, we try to see Israeli innovation through the lens of like a foreigner, of internationals. I myself is an international, so that's how things are. So I would love to talk about Bluewhite, but I think I want to talk about first your origins. You know, where does Alfi come from, and what is his childhood like, his family?
Okay, I'm quite an old very young entrepreneur, but an old guy. So I came to the business after 25 years of serving in the Israeli Air Force, which is quite a long time. Coming as an elder boy from a family of 3. My surname is Ben. My brother is Gur, with the idea of Ben Gurion, with my father trying to create a Ben Gurion family. Very Zionist, patriot, and although unlike myself, all my family is from the show business. So I was raised in a neighborhood with a lot of military guys, and I learned from my friend's father about their Yom Kippur War or whatever was that, and maybe it was influential on me. And all my friends are singers and poets They are at the show business because
Right.
they were with my father and with my family. So this is the background of where I come from. Normal urban life here in the center of Israel, and a very exciting journey in the military with a lot of influence, and studying while being in the military. Studied here in Reichman for 4 years. I've studied because I started it a bit older. I studied law, accountant, and also business law as a second degree. So I've squeezed all of that in 4 years.
4 years.
And it was an amazing journey. And I have not fond memories. I have more than that. I have amazing memories from being here at Reichman, or what was it at the time? The Bentchumi.
Bentchumi. IDC. Right.
Yeah. So this is where I come from.
You have musical hobbies, perhaps, because you grew up with like a show business family.
I know how to hold the mic and be on and to hold the show.
No wonder you sounded so good.
But no, maybe on the storytelling side, I think we got a lot of that in the family. An entrepreneur needs to be also a storyteller, because you're talking about vision and you're talking about future things that is very hard for people to grasp. And you need to show that you believe and how you believe, and to create excitement. So I think these are things that I took. Maybe a guitar, but nothing more than that. So no, not on the musical side, but much more on the show business, on the being a director, being a producer, bringing orchestrating multidisciplinary elements to create something.
So all of this is nothing new to you. This is just at home.
Where we are right now, I've been in those places. Usually I would have preferred to be at the back. I see myself more as my mother, which she is the producer and the CEO of the business. Whereas my brother and sister and my father are usually they will take the front.
Well, we have that in common. When I was in high school, we had a play with Fiddler on the Roof.
Yep.
If you're familiar with that, I think everybody knows that. I was the guys right there. I was in the behind the glass and playing the lights and playing the sound. It was a lot of fun. We won, actually.
Well done on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you were a rich man.
I was Vietka. I pretend to speak Russian just so that people think I'm Vietka.
Yeah, you have a good accent. You're working well.
So, talking about going into the military, did you follow the, very traditional route of being drafted in? How does it happen? How did you go into the military?
Everybody here goes to the military. I had a bet with someone that I want to be in a certain place. When he was 17, I was 16. And it was a special area that I wanted to be in the Air Force. And it was a bet whether I will or not be there. When I was 18 and he was 19, he died in Lebanon.
Okay.
And so I needed to make that bet and make sure that it happens. His name is Guy. I just remember it was today we were sitting at the porch and talking, okay, what you going to do at the military? So I'm guessing that things are, one thing leads to another. You never plan, but I will always strive to be in places where I can be with influence in a way. And I think military service here in Israel, because everybody is getting in, the ability for one person to create influence and to decide how far do they want to go is quite flexible. So, and I was also very lucky that the people in the military have managed to cope with my character and to enable my my wishes to accomplish.
I'm sure there's a lot of personal growth in the military that happens in Israeli's life. I read the book Startup Nation.
Yeah.
Saul Singer
Yeah.
talks about the military, how it's really like a maturing experience accelerator, just turning teenagers into adults in a snap. They're 18, 19, 20, and they have to do a mission somewhere dangerous, and they have to drive a helicopter or a tank. It's crazy for internationals to think that there are teenagers out there in Israel having to experience this.
I think it is something very unique. Their roles and responsibilities that we give young people, and we fuck their heads in a way, and really mature them sometimes too fast, and then they need to wind down in the Far East or South America after their military service. It is very unique. Without that, I don't think we would have talked about Startup Nation. We wouldn't have talked about... I think one of the biggest things is about believing that you can accomplish something at a very young age. And you can accomplish something even if you are short-handed with the budget or capabilities. Just do it.
Just do it.
I think this is part of it. So yes, it's when we're talking about Israeli entrepreneurs or Startup Nation, things like that, we cannot take it without addressing the coexistence of the civilian life and military all the way.
Yeah, I think it's a huge part of the Israeli experience. Even as foreigner, I wanted actually to join the service.
Yep.
Because I really adore this country and support it so much. But unfortunately, they wouldn't let me in. There's of course like background check and all of that. But it's something I would love to do. Now, talking about your military transition to technology, I read that you founded the company and you met your co-founders during your Air Force service.
Yep.
Talk about the transition. Why did you actually choose to go into tech? You could have gone anywhere, first of all, to find a business, to find making a living. But why tech? And why this in particular?
I think you're addressing something that is big. We're talking to a lot of people. Also entrepreneurs, also people that are coming even to ask for a job or to work or ask for an advice. And I have something that I've been doing from, since the age of 4, I'm guessing. I always have a 10-year plan. And part of it is that to have a long-term plan to look ahead and what you want to do. And how do you want to accomplish it? And I found that people are not thinking enough about, okay, so what do I want to be in 10 years from now? Do you know what you want to be in 10 years from now?
I have a rough idea. I have a plan.
That's great. And for that side, I finished my military service at the age of 40, almost 44.
25 years, is it?
Now I'm going to be 50 this next week.
Oh, yeah.
Still have hair on my head, but 50. And the idea was, okay, I have no time. What's the plan for 10 years? And the plan was to make an impact worldwide in the civilian life from Israel. This is my goal. And then people ask me, okay, what does it mean?
Right.
And I said, okay, I need to either give salaries to 1,000 people or to bring taxes of $1 billion to Israel. That's the goal.
And you have to find that way, somehow.
Yeah. And then there was a question on how to do it and what are the limitations. And what I do in every decade of a plan, when I have a plan on the next decade, usually I also attach certain values to this plan.
What sort of values?
The values are the limitations of what you are allowed to do or not allowed to do in order to accomplish it. Meaning, I'll give you an example. What are the values of these 10 years? The values are fellowship, love of the land, and innovation. By the way, I didn't know I will do a startup in agriculture when I talked about it. And meaning that I wanted to create something without it being on the back of someone else, with the values of fellowship. When I want to have 1,000 salaries or to create a lot of income here to Israel, I want it to be with the values of fellowship. Whether it will be who is working with me, who is my client, who is my investor. Everybody should be with the value of fellowship in a way that I need to make sure that they gain also. We can be in that area, that you gain and I gain and nobody loses. The second one was love of the land. I want to create good. So the mission of what we're doing is important.
And what good that is, you don't even know. But
I'm not going to do gaming. I'm not going to do military. I'm not going to do porn on the metaverse. Everything is nice. I mean, we can make a $1 billion quite fast on that one. But I'm not going to do that. These are my limitations. And innovation, I want to create something that is new. And it doesn't mean also just to create a new technology when you say innovation. Innovation can be, okay, we're doing robot as a service. Okay, nobody talked about you Google robot as a service at 2017, you don't have any answer. There is no. And now everybody is, okay, robot as a service. Or how do you change the world of agriculture after 100 years, nothing has happened? Or how do you incorporate technology in places that only sell metal? So these were the values. So as for your question, why am I doing something? So I set a goal and set limitations and boundaries by values. Usually they will help me on my 10, because I also have a hint what I want to do the 10 years after. And, and it's a limit. And this is why I limit myself. I know that I'm going to do public service after that, as an example. And if I will do something bad during these 10 years, I cannot be in public service. So those values of fellowship and love of the land and innovation help me to be good.
I think that's a very important point of putting constraints in what you want to achieve, but putting some boundaries and adding some focus. I think a lot of teenagers and young people, they want to achieve high endeavors, but they don't have any limitation. Cool, I want to achieve this, but then this thing comes up. I want to achieve that too, and this one as well, and this one as well. But there's no constraint and there's no focus.
I'm totally with you, and some people say, okay, at all cost, or I don't care. I think we do care. And when you do that, when you say no to something, although you are very tempted to say yes, because it can help on shortcut or something else, it's you're okay with that because you know why to say no. So you're not tempted.
No, it's powerful.
It is powerful. Usually, if I can say something on myself, I didn't say enough no's in my life.
Really?
Yeah, I'm a pleaser.
Really? Wow.
This is why I'm here, sitting with you. You asked me to come.
Hey. All right now.
I'm joking.
Talking about Bluewhite now. There is a concept in Y Combinator. Mark Siebel once said, Y Combinator, for those who don't know, is a huge American accelerator. It's the biggest in the world. Yeah. Amazing companies come up from there. Yeah. Like Airbnb, for example. Now, in Y Combinator, they have a concept of organically finding a startup and intentionally founding a startup. Organically is like Mark Zuckerberg. You know, Facebook was just a personal project in his downtime, in his dorm, building something to annoy his friends. But now it turns into something huge. What about Bluewhite? Is it intentionally? You look into something, okay, what can we solve? What problems are existing in Israel, in the world? Or is it organically, I have this personal project from the past, my co-founder knew this before. How did it happen?
I think it's a mix with an influence on the latter, meaning I've dealt a lot with autonomous vehicles before coming and being an entrepreneur. And I've seen disruption. I've seen disruption, meaning I've seen what does it mean to incorporate autonomous vehicle on a certain industry and transform it totally. From investing millions of dollars on people to become pilots and transform it to 18 years old boys and girls in 3 weeks. They can do much more than that, sitting, drinking coffee while using a keyboard and moving autonomous vehicles.
In 3 weeks.
Okay, so, and you've seen the numbers also on the percentage of how many hours autonomous vehicles are working in comparison to manned operation, and how expensive it to maintain it. And you hardly do training in autonomous vehicles.
No.
You don't need to train. And
Right.
on manned operation, 95% of the flight hours is training to the 5% that you need, as an example. So you have simulators and which do cost reduction, but actual disruption with autonomous vehicles. And it was 2017, and I said, okay, now it's becoming something strong in the civilian life. And I know that unlike, let's say, the early 2000s or the late 1990s, where it was very expensive to do autonomous vehicles, and this is why it was only in the military area, now it's becoming cheaper. Sensors are cheaper, communication is cheaper, computing is cheaper, everything is cheaper. So, hey, maybe someone can actually order a pizza with a drone or something like that. Maybe that would happen. So I've seen disruption, and I said, okay. And now the idea was, okay, to find where this ability can happen. The second thing is, how good am I in this environment? Am I as good to influence on this big disruption? And in a way, I'm treating myself, if I do a retrospective, I'm treating myself as a startup. Okay, what do I know?
I love that. I love that.
What do I know? And what is the total available market of what I know? And what is the go-to market? And in a way, when you're doing a 10-year program to create disruption or to create an impact, the way I've broke it down is to say, okay, 3 years will be for understanding what I want to do, 3 years to do it, and 3 years to make sure that it stays after I'm gone, because I'm going to do something else in the next decade. And you always leave 1 year to uncertainty. So this is your 10 years plan. So during the first 3 years, we've spent on finding where is the place to create that disruption. So answering to your question of how do I start it, I started on saying, okay, this is something that I know. I didn't know how well, but along those 3 years, when I say I, is we, okay? We, first of all, I gathered around me and with us entrepreneurs and also workers who know that shit. And not many people know that in the world. Because not many people say, hey, I've done disruption with autonomous vehicles. It didn't happen yet in the civilian life.
Right.
So this is on that side. So we talked about a theme. The theme is autonomous vehicles disrupting certain markets. And this was our goal. We want to disrupt markets with the implementation of autonomous vehicles as a vision. And then with who should we do it? We should do it with people who've done it. And how should we do it? We should find where is it mature enough, the need, how big is the need. And then it was, okay, so let's see urban mobility, let's see mining, let's see first responders. We said that we're not doing military, so first responders was as far as we got to that area. Let's look at logistics. Let's look at naval autonomous vehicles, and let's look in agriculture. And when I say let's look on along those 3 years of let's look, it's actually creating somebody that is paying us for something in a certain area. And then you understand how big is the need, how big is the market, and everything. And along those 3 years, agriculture just shined all over the place, like all the stars aligned.
Just in Israel or?
Worldwide, mainly the US. Israel is a nice beta site, but it's not the place to create worldwide impact. We talked about our vision. I wanted to create a worldwide impact. So this is where we found that agriculture is the place where autonomous capabilities will disrupt the way we live.
Wow, everything you said is spot on with our previous episode where we discussed steps of evaluating startup ideas using topics and methods talked by Mark Siebel in Y Combinator. First of all, look at yourself. See what you're good at. See your skills. Look at your assets, your net worth, your network, who you know, what you know, right? That's what you did. You saw that you have this experience in autonomy, right, in technology. You knew the market well, and second, you went and looked for problems, not solutions, not finding cool technologies that you will put into the world, but looking for problems that you can actually solve. You're in love with the problem. You delve into the problem, not the other way around. That's powerful.
Yeah, I think I've done force build up for quite a long time. Also, the past. I don't disagree with technology finding a problem. I think it's great. As long as you are flexible enough to restart again, and also ask once you think this technology is a good fit, now start again. Is that a big problem? Yes. Does it need a solution? Yes. Could that technology help? Yes. So now it's okay. So do bottom up and top bottom in that area. We see it a lot now with AI when you're trying to influence it in some places when it just doesn't work, or we saw it in blockchain when you're trying to find a coin for anything and you say, okay, why do we need a coin here?
All right.
So I won't disagree that technologies you should search and be flexible on searching on where to influence with, but it must work on the other way around. The need is very important. And when people tell me they don't know they don't need it yet, okay, let's start with the need, and alongside it create addiction to something else.
Addiction?
Yeah, I mean, the need for a smartphone was for a phone to be, first of all,
communication.
And a communication in a fast way. And then you created addiction upon that. Okay, and you didn't say, and this is why and autonomous vehicles, for example, are also the same. Okay, when even from the past, but also today, a usual tractor, manned operation tractor, let's say it works something like 800 hours a year. But when you say, okay, you can use it as much as you want, and it won't cost you anymore.
Right.
You find out that they use it for 1,500 hours. And suddenly, when you tell them, now you need to go back to manned operation in 800 hours, you cannot go back.
Cannot go back.
So you start from, okay, just be as good as a manned operation, and then create addiction when you're addicted to create more and more.
Don't tell the tractors here. Don't tell the business farmers.
I think we need again. I'm going to be serious about that joke that you just said.
Mm.
Fellowship-wise, I'm telling everything to everybody. I'm telling them how much I'm making money on what I'm offering them. And I'm making sure that they have their ROI calculator and they make money also. It was just money that was wasted on nothing. There is no reason to spend chemicals or other things.
Right.
So I'm sorry for going down on the on a very good joke on not telling, but I think this is part of the thing. When we create something new as a startup, and we are very afraid about telling, okay, maybe I have a it's a secret, and I don't want to show you how am I doing it, and let's sign NDA, etc. Sharing is caring all the way. This is how I believe in it. And if somebody can do what I'm doing, we'll do something else, or there is enough room for everybody.
I love that. You're just transparent and direct, and you also engage and you actually promote competition. You want that to improve the whole thing as a whole.
Of course, especially when you're doing something new. We don't have anybody to copycat from, and I would love as many people to come over. And the problem is so huge for all of us. And if there will be more blue whites, cost will be lower, and the food will be more available to everybody. I would love, I would love that we will create impact on the world.
You sound like Elon Musk right now.
I don't know. I didn't do enough weed.
I will bring one next time.
No, I never done. I'm sorry. This is something that I'm living.
It's the first time for everything.
I'm open, but not now.
So talking about the name Bluewhite, it reminds me of this amazing country's color. How do you come up with the name Bluewhite?
Just in the face. Bluewhite is because I think I'm very proud of being Israeli. Very proud from being from Israel. It is part of me. It's part of the company. It's part of us as entrepreneurs. It's part of our values. We go to growers all over the world. They ask us why. I say the color of the flag. Tell us if there is a problem. We'll go now. Nobody kicked us away. I think it's... There were a lot of discussion. We've done rebranding, by the way, around 2 years ago. And there was, I think we spent at least 3 days about, should we keep Bluewhite as a Bluewhite?
What were you thinking? Blue, white, blue?
No, the idea of we want to be a global company. And should we talk about being Israelis? And does it affect? And... after you say, okay, it's just who we are. I mean, we are not, this is who we are. We are, behind it is the ability to innovate, the ability to just do it, the ability to deliver. This is who we are. So this is why we called ourselves Bluewhite.
So if you conquered all America, I heard you're moving into also Washington. If you conquered all America, are you going to call it red, wine, and blue?
No, but it's great is that when we talk about it in the market that we are at, people are as patriotic as us. Whether you are in Brazil or in Europe or in the US, people who work the land appreciate also the country they are at. And when you come and say, hey, these are my values, I appreciate the country I came from, they acknowledge it and they're okay with it. And so we find it that it's great on that side.
Because in this industry, you literally are feeding the nation with this work.
Yeah. And these are people, when you're talking about agriculture, these are people that are... the issue of trust is something that is most important for them. And they believe themselves and God, usually. And coming with the values and playing long, this is something that they look for.
I think they will know a lot about it. Harvesting is something you got to be patient with.
Yeah.
Teaches you a lot about life and all of that.
True.
Talking about your early time at Bluewhite, early challenges, what did you face? Something that obviously everyone will face a problem in their startup. What is yours?
I think to get the answer, I think it's important to get the idea of what we are doing in a way and what we want to accomplish in that part. And we, Bluewhite is taking any existing tractor and transforming it to autonomous. And by that, we are creating data-driven autonomous farms.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning we transform a normal tractor that was operated by people, and you can still operate it as a person. You have with a click of a button, but it will also work alone, day and night, and not just be tractoring. It will actually do the job, whether it's spraying or mowing or herbiciding. There are around 400,000 tractors just in the area that we're working with, meaning talking about vineyards and citrus and apples and almonds, anything that has a tree. So it's like a real estate operation company where you need to make sure that the real estate is still working. This is for someone who doesn't understand ag. And every tree needs to be treated around 20 times a year, where you spray it or mow near it or a herbicide near it. So it's actually all year long of work, unlike corn or wheat or soy where it's seasonal. Here it's all year long. And people don't like to drive a tractor 10 hours a day with chemicals on them and to get cancer at the age of 50. The only reason people do it because there is no other option. And young people, now that the baby boomers are in pension, there is no one to work the land. They
want to work in Amazon.
They would go to Amazon, exactly, or even McDonald's, where it's $21 an hour already in California.
Touché.
Okay, so and not only that, I don't know if you ever pressed the clutch, but young people don't press the clutch anymore. They don't know how to press the clutch. Okay, they drive just in automatic vehicles. So it's not just driving, it's even executing well. And the difference, if you drive 2 miles per hour, 2.5 miles per hour, is huge on the amount of chemical that you spray and the crop and the cost.
Delicate work.
Yes, and very accurate work. And you need to do it also at the 8th hour or the 12th hour of your driving. Impossible. And to operate a tractor in the U.S. costs something like $100,000 a year. If you take into consideration the person, the amount of hours usually you need to do to find even two, and the amount of chemicals that they're wasting, and too much chemicals we're spraying on our food, and the amount of tractors that you need, because the tractor doesn't work 16 hours a day. It works alongside the person that is limited for 8 or 10 hours a day. So we found out that it's a huge market, huge potential. And when we take an existing tractor and transform it, nobody loses. You already bought that tractor. It's your existing asset. Maximize the existing asset. No need to buy a robot for $500,000.
And you like that tractor. Some people like John Deere, some people like something else.
You adore it.
Yes.
And, Bluewhite can drive any color. It can drive a green Deere or a New Holland or Case or Kubota. And definitely, the people do appreciate the brand that they work. And he knows already which brand and which type of vehicle is suitable for them.
Right.
So, and there isn't one tractor in the field, and you cannot be just with one brand in your field. So this is how we just found out that, here is something that we can create impact.
So this is what Bluewhite does.
Yep.
And early on, did you start in Israel or did you start in the US already?
US.
You start
from
in
the
the US.
US from the beginning, because the scale is just there are two things that are happening there. First of all, it's a scale, and the second is the need. There aren't any people to make it happen. The scale is tremendous. Our clients have anything between 10 tractors to 1,000 tractors a client. In Israel,
is this medium size, large size?
Medium size to large. Medium would be small size is 1 to 10. Usually you'll find it in Europe.
Okay.
And in the US is just, this is how agriculture is being done. You see VCs coming and buying land and just operating the land.
Right. Also for their ESG score and everything.
Yeah.
So what early challenges did you find? So we knew what Bluewhite does. What did you face in the beginning?
So the early challenge is entrepreneurs might look at is, okay, what is the MVP? What is the minimal valuable product that you can create that can move? And they are, and also in that area, this is how I believe new technology should be approached. This is how our approach, it's not as the same approach as others, is, okay, to create a good autonomous vehicle takes a decade. Okay, that can do everything. But I cannot do an autonomous vehicle in the laboratory for 9 years and then deploy it after the 10th year, and now it's deployed and everything is amazing. It works. Autonomous vehicle need to run. You need to mature it. You need to run as many hours as possible. We have already around 50,000 hours of work. And otherwise, you are not able to have all the edge cases that you are able to do it. So I think the challenge was at the beginning, say, okay, what is the area that I want to work at, and where should it work, and what are the tasks that I want to do that can create enough impact on a grower, meaning he will pay us for what we're doing on one hand. On the other hand, it will help us to still mature ourselves for the long term.
For the long term, yeah.
Otherwise, it's you have in urban mobility, you have Waymo or Cruise that are still working just in San Francisco in a certain neighborhood with 100 cars alone, not really commercial, and the expenses would just be terrible.
So is there like a Steve Jobs story in the beginning where you built something in someone's garage, putting technology, Arduinos, Raspberry Pis, maybe on a tractor like you bought off of eBay or something?
No, so this is how it's been done. We had also an amazing grower at the beginning that said, hey, I know it's just the beginning, but I'm a third generation of early adopters, and I'm obliged to my father and my grandfather to adopt new things, come and work in my farm and start working. And from there, we just enhanced more and more things. And the amount of things that we didn't know were huge. And just along the journey, we knew more things that we didn't know. And now, once you know it, you just create a plan how to tackle them. But the biggest thing is, what don't you know that you don't know? These are the biggest obstacles, if I can think of, at the beginning.
That's a brilliant point. I think a lot of teenagers and aspiring entrepreneurs, they write a spreadsheet on what they want to achieve in 1 week, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks. Man, you don't know what's going to happen in 1 week. You don't even know what challenges you don't know, right? So that's a brilliant point. You don't know what you don't know. And just to find them out, you have to have a bias to action. Just go out there, get your hands dirty, build something.
You need friction.
You need friction.
Without friction, you have no idea of what's happening. You need a feedback. And you need to make a feedback without it being too costly. The more you are open to your customers about what you have and what you know and what you don't know, it will help you. Sometimes it's not as easy, but then maybe it's not the correct customer. maybe there are customers that need something more mature, and they are not the correct ones to come with immaturity.
Right.
So it's again, you cannot behave differently inside and outside. And the last thing is, how fast are you to cope with your faults or your understanding? Do you have, what is the time difference between sensing that something is not what you thought, to why, to okay, what is needed, and how do I solve it? I solve it, I implement it. So this cycle, what is called agile in a lot of places, is how do you do agile in robotics? And how do you do agile where the development is in Israel and the client is 8,000 miles away?
Right. Two things you said that's struck to me. Number one, you need to have that thick skin and scar tissue to just, okay, fine, this product, it's not for everyone. Not everyone is going to agree to invest nor use my product, but you have to keep going and asking and finding the market and finding, people to work with you, because I think early adopters, they're almost like partners. They tell you what you need to fix, and you work with that. Second one is your agility, iteration process, how you sense something going wrong, and you go back to the drawing board and fix it.
Yes.
Amazing 2 points.
And I think for that, when you go back to what are key success areas, is who are the people that you have. And if you have people that when change is happening, they say, hey, it wasn't my roles and responsibilities, they are not the correct people for that area. We need to be flexible. So if we need, we all be marketing people. If we need, we'll be business, customer success, or the flexibility on that side. And as long as slowly you are more accurate and you already know, and it's about execution of a certain program that is more known, then you can increase and invest more on the talent side of who is the perfect person for this problem. But if I bring from the beginning the perfect person for this problem, and I found out that this is not the problem, what do I do with that person? So the spiral development that I'm talking about, the spiral capabilities moving from minimal viable product, MVP, to enhancing more suitable to more and more type of customers, to more and more capabilities. Also, there is a spiral development in your company of what is happening. We started 5 years ago, and we are now around 140 people of developers. At the beginning, it was much more service company, because you need to be there to react.
Yes.
And once the product is more and more mature, you can be more of a product company and invest all those people on development, new things that you already know, and you need less sensors on the reaction time. So I think this is part of the amazing journey that we have passed until now in the company, that enables us to understand that we have the DNA and the ability to react to changes. And I didn't bring in Corona, and I didn't bring in all kinds of other crises that we have right now, or supply chain crisis, and all things that happened in 5 years, or inflation, things that just weren't there in the matrix, or how hard is it to get money today in comparison to 2020, 2021.
That's the height of the market. That's when I raised funding for my startup, actually. And then after that, it's just downhill. Nothing's going on.
Okay,
2022, 2023.
So we just closed round C right now, an up round from 2021, with almost 50% of the money is from new investors.
37 million.
39.
39.
Yeah,
Okay.
37 was the last one.
Ah,
Now it's 39. And we are very humble that the people that invested in the company from the beginning and also along the journey are people who come with the same ideas and values. Everybody wants to make money. They want to do 10x and 100x, and they will. But they also want to create change. They want to be disruptors. They want to be part of a big thing. And they also have the understanding of how hard it is to create disruption on one hand, but how joyful is once you make it and make it happen, that you are able to really be market leader.
So birthday present kind of comes early.
I don't know. Every time that I get more investment, I'm not more cheerful. Usually, I feel the burden of delivering much more. I've been criticized a lot in the company that we don't celebrate enough our wins, and I think we should do it more. But usually I celebrate when it's really hard and tough and where we are with the back to the wall. And when we succeed, I just think about the next accomplishment that we need to bring. And people invested money in the company because they believe, and they believe that we can execute, and we need to execute.
When your back is against the wall, that's when you discover who you truly are. And when you are in the heights of heights, that's when you have to be careful, because you have a lot to lose, and you have a lot of responsibility to manage.
We're bringing salaries to so many people, and we have customers that really count on us, because if we will not deliver, there is a risk to their business. And if there is a risk to their business, there will be a risk on the price of food. And if there will be a risk of the price of food, both of us will pay more. So the responsibility that we have in the company is exceeds our, okay, we tried and it didn't work. No, I'm not spending the best days of my life on trying and it doesn't work.
Right.
Okay, we didn't come to this point not to succeed. So yes, it comes with a lot of need on meditation and calmness and dealing with now in some areas, but it's tense. Okay. So I know people are usually talking about, okay, how much money did you raise, or how many people are working in the company? We've been spending more than half an hour talking, and we didn't talk about that at the beginning because I think it's not the thing. It's you chose something that is not logical. Okay, to be an entrepreneur has nothing with logic.
Right.
It's too risky, and it's trying to do something that is impossible, that you believe that is possible.
It's a service. You're trying to push innovation. Not everyone is built for that or should do that.
Trying to push innovation. What do you think about that? You're trying to create something, and creating is, I don't know, I'm a parent, so you think about your children when you're creating something, and everything is nice when, okay, now there is pregnancy and you're expecting and everything is great, and then you go to the hospital and you're scared, but there are still people in the hospital and everything is great. And then you go home with a newborn, and nobody is looking at you and how you're doing it and say, okay, is that legal what I'm doing right now?
Where's the manual?
And the responsibility of how to deal with that. And it never fades, the responsibility. The telephone from your kid. And I think in a way, being an entrepreneur, you are creating a kid.
Yes.
And you are creating something. And the more this kid is growing up, you have more and more responsibility. Okay? You didn't work for nothing all that time. You want to see it walks along and works along. So, yes, innovation has a lot to do with it. You can be an entrepreneur also with less innovation or more innovation in some places. But it's the creation and the responsibility that goes along it that keeps you tight.
Talking about Bluewhite right now, nowadays, what is Bluewhite up to?
Bluewhite has managed to become commercial in autonomous vehicles. I'm saying it because we're talking about autonomous vehicles so many years here. The startup industry in Israel and also worldwide. And you don't have a lot of autonomous vehicle companies which are actually commercial and are dealing with scale. They're still dealing with, okay, let's find that somebody really needs it or wants it. And now what we're doing is how to scale it up worldwide, meaning we are working alongside with dealerships of John Deere and New Holland that are selling our products already. So on the go-to-market side. And we work with the customers that are starting their second and third year and are enhancing the amount of fleet in the company, in the farm of autonomous vehicles that are running. And we are on the maturity of a company. When we started, it was about the leading of the company was the product, meaning are we doing something that somebody needs and what it should be. And everything is around the product. Doesn't matter what's the cost. Just make that product and make it as correct as possible. And all the other entities in the company are around the product. And this was until round A, almost B. And then we went to the part of round B, which the business was the leading of the company. And when you mean the business is, okay, how can we sell more and more of that product? And to who? What is the go-to market? Should we go direct? Are we going to be Uber or are we going to be Mobileye of the farming? We understood that we want to be more of Mobileye of the farming because we found out that there is an amazing ecosystem that exists already of dealerships that are already there.
Why build from zero?
Yeah. Why should I have more and more marketing and sales people where I have already people there that know exactly what the customer needs and how to explain him that he needs our solution, our aftermarket autonomous vehicles and data-driven farms. So it was around the business, and it still is around the business. And now we are transitioning where it's around money. We need to create a healthy, growing, long-lasting company, meaning dealing of the unit economics, and how to enhance the gross margin, and how to lower as much as possible the need of our people to be with the customers or with the dealership, or everybody can do everything. So today we have dealerships that are transitioning alone a tractor from regular to autonomous in one day. We send them an IKEA kit with a manual, and they transform a tractor from being manual for many years to autonomous in one day, which is crazy. This was what enables scale. So this is how it looks right now, and with the idea of IPOing in 2 or 3 years.
And talking about the sneak peek of the future, I've heard from marketing there's this product called Gen 3. Do you want to give us a sneak peek about it?
I think this is part of, when we're talking about generations, and we found out that our roadmap of development is alongside generations. We are now at generation 3, and in order to cope with generation 3, I think I'll just bring a glimpse of what was generation 1 and 2. Generation 1 was about taking a tractor and making it drive autonomously without you interfering. So you still had, at that stage, you had people in the tractor as safety drivers. And then it was generation 2, when you don't need a person in the tractor. Now, not many people understand what tractor is. Agriculture is the most dangerous and hazardous occupation in the world. People are dying there like hell. It's moving a few tons vehicle in an orchard with no GPS reception, no connectivity, in the middle of the night, 120 degrees Fahrenheit in California, in almond blocks where you have no idea what happens, and the row is around half a mile or a mile. So how do you deal with those 8 or 12 tractors that are running over there? And how do you understand what's happening? And they are spraying chemicals. And if they spray chemicals wrong, it's dangerous also. Or they are using a huge mower to mow. And so to take a person out of a tractor and one person operating several tractors, this was generation 2. And generation 3, that all what we're talking right now is being operated by the client himself from the beginning and without our help. Which means, how do we do dev support from far away? How do we give a response whenever there is a malfunction? Automated feedbacks, data collection, simplicity, working over the cloud on everything, multi-language. Spanish, English,
right?
Big buttons. And it's a huge thing. And when you compare it to autonomous vehicle industry in the urban mobility that we've seen billions of dollars invested, we are still in generation 1 with only about maybe 4 companies, safety drivers in their vehicles still. And if you look in other industries, you don't have generation 2, and you definitely don't have generation 3. So we are entrepreneurs, and this is how far we're getting there. And all the other OEMs or startups are far away from that.
A very similar roadmap and level ups with, autonomous cars in the streets, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, right? A lot of cars in the world the autonomous ones are still in level 3 right now.
Yeah.
Still with human feedback and all of that. So it's amazing that you're replicating that in the field.
Yeah, so we have level 5 tractors in areas that you have no connectivity, and yet it's much simpler than urban mobility. There is a reason why we went there.
Right.
Edge cases are lower. You drive 0 to 10 miles per hour, and things are happening slow in a normal pace. The mission itself is very repetitive. Only if there is abnormality, you need to intervene. So there is a reason why all the stars are aligning over there, and a huge need.
But a bigger impact to humanity. This is food.
It is food. We really, when I'm talking also to our also the amazing workers in the company, and we have people that are starting their 5th year in the company. And the drive on the mission, saying, okay, we're doing something that actually impacts the world, where we can make food affordable to 10 billion people that are going to be on the planet at 2050. This is something huge, and I'm so happy that we're able to also do something that is very innovative, be in areas that nobody has been before,
Right.
and alongside also create good.
So that's Bluewhite. We've talked about your company, which is amazing, and I think our audience learns a lot from that. Let's move on to entrepreneurship in general. My lecturer is Yasmin Lukat in entrepreneurship. She is the Shark Tank shark in Israel, and she asked the question in the first day of school: can entrepreneurship be taught? What is your answer to that?
You can be time and experience can make you a better entrepreneur. There are soft skills and there are hard skills. The hard skills can be taught. I think just like in a lot of other places, some people just have it in a way, and some people have the methodology to learn it. It's not real, I think, if it doesn't move any inch and every inch of your body when you are doing it. It's okay to be foolish and not understanding how foolish it is to be an entrepreneur. I think it's also important, because if you take all the risk assessment, you just won't do it.
You need to be deluded some way, a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So optimistic in a way that is making you drive, but not to drive everybody crazy. So it's really a delicate line of where to be there. And I think Yasmin, she saw so many people. I know very well. I think she's amazing. And if she's seen so many entrepreneurs succeeding and also failing. So you need to want it. You need to want it. You need to be very hungry and driven to do it. Yeah. This is what I think.
Advice.
I don't know what is the correct answer, by the way.
My answer is no to her question, and the whole class is what? What's the point we're doing here? Yeah. But I reiterated your point. I think you can learn technical skills. There are things that can be learned, but a lot of it is your circumstance, your personal background. Do you have a reason to pursue this? Because you have to pursue it for a long time, and you need to be very hungry. Not all people are hungry.
I agree. I think I'll give maybe another dimension to the answer, a third dimension. There is also timing where you can be an entrepreneur.
Right.
You cannot be an entrepreneur. There are some times that you cannot be an entrepreneur. You just have too much on your head. You have mortgage and you have kids, or you didn't learn yet enough, or you don't have enough skills for a certain thing, or you are not hungry enough. You're just not hungry, or you are not creative enough. You need to be in the mood. So also you can be with the skills and not with the timing. Just like startup. I think there are a lot of startups. I think to do a farm on Mars, I think it's amazing. And for sure, there will be human beings on Mars. For sure, there will be autonomous farms on Mars before human beings will be there.
We'll talk about that.
It's not the timing. So I think it's about timing.
And a lot of the listeners are young. So I think it's it's a better time to be an entrepreneur, because you can afford, in some ways, the risks as opposed to later in your life, right? So what would you give as an advice to someone starting their journey in entrepreneurship?
I think, first of all, do it. And find out if you're... make sure that you're doing it for the correct reasons. not because it's fun or not because it's cool or because there is an urge for you to create. Second is gather around you good people. I became friends with my investors before they became my investors. I didn't pitch them. I just thought that they had very good brand. I talked to them because I wanted to meet them and talk about my vision. And we iterated more and more and more. And then they said, hey, we think we want to be part of that, of what you're doing. And we think we can help you accomplish it. So we were aligned. It wasn't a pitch. And then after they sent you the money, calling you, say, remind me again why you're doing it. It was something. So I think at the beginning, when you are young, and when you have time, don't do shortcuts. And the last thing that I would recommend is go to the maximum with the bootstrapping and working to an MVP without even asking for money. Because once you get money, you might lose the hunger. You need to be hungry.
You become spoiled.
Yes. And time is not as important, and delivery is not as important. And if you want this hunger time and going through hunger, creates velocity. And then you know also if you are made for that. Because after that, it will happen. You will go through those bad phases. And you want to test as fast as possible. Can you cope with that? Do you have the agility for that?
That's amazing advice. I think a lot of entrepreneurs will really find help with that. So we're going to the fun section in our podcast called the comment section. I'm going to talk about random topics and you give me your thoughts about it. So actually, I want to talk about your point in treating yourself as a startup. I really believe in this strongly, and I have this in my Notion, so I'm really glad that you brought this up. I have this 4 columns in my Notion page. Notion is like a note-taking app, right? And I have this 4 columns. Physique, that I think is important in life. Physique, ownership, wisdom, and relationship. Physique speaks about everything that's your body. You know, your health, your physical fitness, also your physical attractiveness. You want to be presentable. You want to be healthy. You want to be alive. Yeah, physique. Ownership speaks about everything you own. Money, silver, gold, land, your home, real estate, stocks, ETFs, whatever, right? In life, you have to have resources to move things. And wisdom speaks about your knowledge, your experience, your skills, right? Your ideas, your creativity, your degree, whatever it is that's in your mind, in your knowledge, in your expertise, that's wisdom. And the last one is relationship. I think relationship is one of the most important one because humans, we are social creatures. If I'm just one man on earth, I'm nobody. I will die in like 5 months or whatever, right? We need humans to continually exist together. And so it's who you know. So we have wisdom, what you know, and relationship is who you know. People you connected with, your network, your business network, your friends, your family. What do you think about this?
I think it's deep. I think it can help as guidance. Hearing it from the first time, these are key 4 foundations that you need to have and nurture because it's never enough.
No.
So I invested in it a lot. I do believe, I talked about fellowship. So for sure, the last one, the last key factor about networking or relationships. I believe it's key. You need to leave a lot of your ego around that.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, the question is, when you meet someone, do you ask what's in it for me? And if you do, you're wrong. And to give without thinking what will happen. Because you can never know. And because it's not important. Because when you give, you get. And this is something that is very important. And I will ask entrepreneurs that are listening to us right now, is when they meet someone, whether it's a customer or an investor or a worker, do they just ask for things, or do they also listen or ask for how they can help? I think this is something that is very important. Whenever I meet someone, usually I would take an action item. Hardly ever will not, but I will always take an action item of something that I can help that person. And I'll file it. And okay, how can I deal with it? And you need to be interested in the other person that is taking his time to listen to you, or to listen to your adventure, and here's the pitch, blah, blah, blah. The small talk is very important, not just for the small talk. And sometimes people just do the small talk for the small talk. Just be really interested, because there is a person in front of you. He has his worries. He's thinking, I don't know, that he hasn't done a good investment for 1 year already.
Right.
Or, I don't know, something happened with this kid that just called, and you can help. And just help without thinking why and how should it happen. And if you are out of that meeting without an action item, it means that you didn't do anything about relationship. You just got, you didn't give. So this is just a small example of how to create those things. And you need to be available all the time.
Provide value first, and then things will come back.
Be meaningful about providing value. Don't provide value just to provide value. And I will get something out of it.
Okay.
Be meaningful about it. Be caring. And it's hard at the beginning, and when it's a habit, it doesn't take anything out of you. And because you're doing it so many times, your network grows exponentially, because those people, when I call someone, it's very easy for you to call someone that you need him to help someone else. To call someone that you need help from him, it's harder. But hey, I'm calling you, listen, can you help a friend of mine who has this and this? Okay? Easy. You will never call that person to ask for help to yourself. And in that way, things are happening. You just create more and more wealth in the world, because that person, for him to help, it's nothing.
Right.
He just didn't know that he can help.
Yeah.
And it's only because you just gave attention and you were meaningful.
It's a good life hack right there. Be the bridge, and you will gain the connection of two people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Talking about work and life balance, you talked about meditation. I heard in another podcast interview about your anxiety attack. Talk about this. You're a very busy man. And what is work-life balance like for you?
There is no work-life balance. I think it's bullshit.
Agree.
No, I think it's just not... what is... I don't... Okay. For sure, as an entrepreneur, my work is my life. My life is my work. It's easy. I think as a human being, also where I wasn't an entrepreneur, my work was my life was my work. Not that I was working all the time. Okay, my kid is work.
Right.
My education is work.
Right.
My well-being is work. Okay, so the balance, by the way, is about listening to yourself, and you're not balanced when you're not listening to yourself. So you need to be more attuned to what's happening with yourself. And when you're young, I think it's a run that you need to do, or make sure that you allocate time to certain things, and but I just don't think that you can act differently, and I can tell you that I wasn't happy at the past when I tried to act differently between how do I act in work, how do I act with workers, how do I act with my bosses, how do I act at home. And sadly it happened only at the age of 37 when I said, okay, no, this is me, and if somebody doesn't like it, fuck him. Okay, this is this is what it is. And also it was about myself.
Yeah. Because
you're trying to be something.
Yes.
You said you're young. You said people are asking, and they're young. There is when you're young, you're asking yourself about, okay, how can I be better at something? And this is great exploration. But the real truth is, it's not that you're asking yourself how to be better. You're asking to understand who are you, and you just don't know. So you are exploring. And it takes time to understand who you are. And I think it's important to not decide who you are too early, because you really need to try. So I'm at an age that I know my faults. I know that I'm not perfect. I decided not to commit suicide. I decided to be as in love as possible with myself and my faults. And, just win with what I got.
That's a good point. And I actually agree that there's no work-life balance. If you want to truly pursue something and devote your life into a cause, you are that thing 100% of the time. You're not Batman by night and Bruce Wayne by the day. You're just Batman. You're just that all the time, and you have to pursue it. Like, you see all this high achievement people in this world, they're them all the time. And Elon Musk is Elon Musk everywhere. And surely there's sacrifice to be made,
Yeah, there will be casualties,
Yeah.
I won't be lovable. I'm not trying to be the best dad. I'm just trying to, bring the values that I want. I want my kids to be as good as possible for them. But if you're trying to be loved, no.
Yeah.
You're fake.
Life's too short to just be loved. Achieve something. Be great, right?
I try not to be bad, okay? And try not to harm people.
Yeah.
I think it's important. But I'm not trying to harm. I'm just doing mistakes, I'm sure. I'm trying not to do lots of them, and I'm trying to be... but I'm trying, okay? And the other way is not to try and to say, okay.
Die trying. Talking about the future, you mentioned about robots on Mars, and I love this. I mean, I'm a mechanical engineering student back then. I think about Iron Man. I'm a fan of Tony Stark. I build things.
Okay.
So if you talk about Elon Musk and going to Mars and talking about robots in space, I think you gotta get Elon Musk's number, because when he's gonna land his Falcon in Mars, you gotta start making some plantation for food to feed people. Huh?
I think, I know it will happen. I would love to be part of helping humankind as long as I live. I think it is important. I would love also, I talked about being in public service, so to helping humankind also in those areas where we are accepting the diversity between ourselves and between people, and understanding some things that we tend not to remember that we have more in common than we think.
Right.
So these are the areas of being influential in some places, so technology-wise, yes, those we'll see more and more coexistence of humans and robots together, and creating the new humankind civilization that we are in transition, and that happens in really accelerated mode. And then what will happen is that the basic of what is special about humankind is our agility, our ability to understand what survival is. And I want to make sure that we survive.
Beautiful. Talking about AI, what's your thoughts about AI? I built an AI startup, so I'm passionately optimistic about it. But a lot of people are scared and worried about AI. What are your thoughts on it?
I think it's early. I think people are worried for a good reason. Usually new things that happened in the world were invested in things that created much more harm than good. This is how it usually starts. So AI and government might not have the same usage as AI and pupil, and that wants his homework to be done much faster. So, and I think that we are very naive about thinking that it can be controlled. It's just going to happen. Okay, so
inevitable.
Yes, and I'm sure it will. We will see also bad applications of that, but it's going to happen. So let's do it in a way. So let's try to influence as much as possible on good things. In that way, I don't believe in regulation and other things like that. Because the regulation will be, it will be imposed on people who are under regulation, and somebody will be above that regulation. Because we cannot promise that regulation will be for everybody, so what's the idea?
Someone will always be in control.
Yeah, so I'm not naive, and I think it is what it is. I think life is not fair.
Agreed.
If I can summarize, I have 6 rules on that part, on anything, by the way. 6 rules that will help you no matter who you are, if you are a company, if you are a person, if you are a child, if you are a grown-up. Rule number 1 is life is not fair. Rule number 2 is that you're in charge of your life. Rule number 3 is that everything is an opportunity. Rule number 4, family above everything. Rule number 5, be grateful. And rule number 6 is don't be afraid. So if you accomplish those 6 rules on anything that is new or a situation that you are at, and you go by these 6 rules, you assure yourself agility, and you assure yourself that you limit the reasons of why you are not successful just to yourself. So it's only about us to create happiness and success.
Take accountability on your own life.
Yes.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So we've spoken all over the place. We've spoken about very interesting things in Bluewhite, and things in life, almost like philosophy, your own philosophy, 6 rules in your life. I think that's very interesting. Let's talk about final points in entrepreneurship. A lot of our listeners are aspiring entrepreneurs again, in their 30s, in their 40s, in their 20s also, right? Role of mentorship. What do you think is the role of mentorship, and how important it is in building a successful self, turning yourself into an entrepreneur?
Mentorship it's a state of mind. Is the ability to acknowledge that you don't know everything, and you want to explore it, and either being a mentor or being mentored. I don't know any mentor that is not also being mentored, but in that part, I think is about, first of all, everybody needs one. It's not the same mentor for everything that you need. It can be mentor for a certain reason. I think a mentor should have few major things that are critical for you to learn from. One is you need to trust that person. That person should be as less judgmental as possible. Meaning you, as a mentor, you don't want to create a new you. And when you are looking at someone and say, oh, he's my idol, I want him to be my mentor.
Right.
Don't try to be him.
Right.
You want this relationship to create a mirror to yourself.
I think a lot of fathers can learn from that. They want to impose everything they learned and turn their kid into themselves.
And it's very hard not to. This is the good version is when they want to impose themselves. The bad version is when they want to impose what they are not. And what was their disappointment of themselves. And now they want to accomplish all their disappointments on their kids. And you see it also a lot.
Yeah.
And it's not about you. Okay, so if the mentor is, it's all about him, it's not the correct person. And you are not a good mentor. And I think we should do it as much as possible. I am being mentored about by few people that I have few people that I can call them my mentors. If it's my brother, or if it's my other 3 persons that I know that I don't want to mention their name because I want to acknowledge their privacy. And I also mentor a lot of other people. Some are younger, some are older than me. People who been in military service and now are starting new life, or young people that are asking what to do. I see a lot of my workers which are much better than me in a lot of ways, and by any means that they are just much better than myself, that I'm trying as much as possible to help them accomplish their goals and find together the ways to be the best that they wish for them to be. So this is about mentoring. I think it's something that we are not doing enough. And we talked about giving. We need to do it. So if we're doing it without being judgmental, with a lot of love, just loving the person, and then not trying to impose or who we are on them, and just taking the maximum out of them, this is something that is amazing.
It's wonderful. And even for you, as almost 50-year-old CEO, you are still in constant learning and getting up with the times and learning everything you can learn.
I have no fucking clue what to do every day.
Right.
I mean, sorry for the F word all the time, because it is just fucking like that.
Mhm.
Okay, we just don't know. There is no manual.
Mhm.
You need to decide. You have around 200 decisions every day that you need to decide on. And there will be the same question again tomorrow, because maybe tomorrow it's a different answer because the timing is different.
Mhm.
And so no, I have no idea. I never done what I'm doing right now. I never done it before. It's my first time I'm doing it ever. This why it thrills me. It was the first time getting an investment, first time having an employee,
Right.
first time you fire someone, first time you close a deal,
Mhm.
first time you have churn, first time somebody says no, first time for everything. And the idea is always don't try to play that. I mean, it's okay to be confident. I'm very confident at what I'm doing. I have no doubt that this journey will end amazing. Zero doubt about it. And yet, I'm scared shitless at the same time. So it's about not being scared in a good way about the end goal, but be doubtful, or ask yourself and put around you as many people as possible that can help you accomplish what you need.
Amazing, amazing advice. Thank you very much for coming.
Cheers.
It's been a pleasure, Alfi.
Well done.
I think a lot of people are learning a lot from you and consider you a mentor. So that's why I talk about mentorship.
Well, a good mentor doesn't need to think about it. You just need to give. But really, thank you very much. Again, thank you for IDC and Reichman University here to host us. I think it's an amazing place. I think it has a great area to help people how to accomplish themselves and to bring skills like you talked about.
Right.
And also great for the network that is needed also. And I think what you're doing here is amazing. And thank you for hosting me.
Alfi, it's been a pleasure.
Cheers.
All our shows and podcasts available online on our website and on all podcast platforms. Search Audioversity.